Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage. In today's episode, it's going to be on the 70 Torino. As you can see, I'm here at the shop. Got Daisy down there in the back. Follow me along through the intro, and I'll be back. What? They're watching and not subscribing? It's free? And alright guys, I drove Torino over to the shop this morning. Big shout out to John Wilburn with the No Name Nationals for sending me that banner. That's a very cool event and you guys need to check it out. So, I've been having torque converter issues. If you remember from our last video, we had torque converter problems, torque converter slippage problems. Well, I kind of lost heart and I've just let the car sit since then. But this morning, I was backing it out of the garage and I backed her right into the fence at the house this morning. Didn't really hurt nothing. Just a little paint, a little ugly. It'll be alright. But back to that converter issue. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to pull this $500 and something Hayes 3/4 race converter out. That's supposed to be good 500 horsepower. That can't even hold up to this 306 cylinder without 40% of slippage. And I'm going to put a stock converter back in it. Now, I know a lot of y'all are probably thinking, why put a stock converter back in it? Well, guys, I just can't seem to get anybody to build me a converter for this setup. My other options put TKX in it, or, with TKO 600 Tremec, and manual swap the car. I don't have the funds for that. I've been saving money. I'm pretty close, but not quite there. I tried to sell a couple of my projects, and nothing's happened. I bought that 70 Torino part out that's outside. It didn't really happen. No interest in parts. So, we're going to stick a stock converter in it, see what it does. Keep in mind this motor just has a little Comp 268 cam, and I really don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Surely it'll be more efficient at being a larger converter. And it's also the one that came out from behind my big block. So it is a stock big block torque converter. It's got the right pilot shaft, right bolt pattern, and I know it fits a C6. So let me throw this thing on the rack and get it up in there. And all other mess be told, I've got like 45 days to have this thing race ready. So let's take a walk under the car. I'll show you a few things. I'll show you what the underside of a 1970 Torino that has not been restored or painted on underneath looks like. So let's get to it. Alright guys, you can see all my turbo piping and stuff. And you see disc brakes and everything. But this car's really not been cut on or painted on underneath. And you see the original paint right there on the bottom of that floor pan. A little dirty, but it is what it is for a car that's not really been all butchered to death. And I know the springs are a little rusty and all that stuff, but you can see sliders up here and my Calvert shocks and my traction bars and everything. And the exhaust setup that's on the car. And we're going to see this big old honking C6 that we got to pull out. So I guess let's get to doing that. Well, we got the transmission lines out, torque converter bolts out, drive shaft out. It's propped up over against the wall. The shifter's off of it. So all I should have left is the cross member and the bell housing bolts, and this thing should slide out. Daisy down there on the floor. Not really in a big hurry because the car's still hot. I just drove here, so you know, it'll take my time and do it. And alright, anytime you use a transmission jack like that, I like to run a, you know, a tie down around it, or ratchet strap, whatever you want to call it, just to ensure it don't slip. You don't want that big old 100-pound transmission coming off there and mashing your toes. So let's get that on there. I'll be back. Well, that's all tied down, so let's take the cross member out of it. Bell housing bolts, you'll be able to pull the transmission down. And we are down to the torque converter. So at this point, it's just a bloop and bloop, plop in. So, like I said, this thing's still pretty warm. Motor's still pretty warm. Get all that out. So, get a little pan stick under the front of this transmission just in case we lose a little fluid. And I'll get this converter out, get the other one cleaned back up, and put it in there, and we'll see where we get from there. So, I sure hope this is worth the hassle. If anything, it'll give me a little data of how low of a stall I can actually use in this to get away with. If everything's good, it fixes their problem. It spools fine, everything's all happy. So we'll just have to see what happens. So, yep. If you haven't yet, make sure you like this video, share it with friends, comment down below. If you're not a subscriber and you're watching this, hit that subscribe button because it does help the channel to grow. And it helps me bring you more stuff like this. And takes a little financial stress off too. And we all need that. Well, got this haze converter out there. And you can see part number on it right there. Also see this thing ain't even dirty. So, got that stock converter shoved in there. With the drain plug down here at the bottom. Got my flywheel turned with the drain plug hole down there at the bottom. So, should be ready to shove this thing back up in the hole. Well, the transmission's back in the car. I'm going to put the drive shaft back in, and the U-joint's messed up. Kind of a backstory here is I've probably put 400 sets of U-joints in this car, and this last time I put them in there, I finally figured out why it kept eating U-joints. And I'll show that to y'all now. That way, if you ever run across it, especially on a Torino or a Mustang or any 70s Ford product that may have this issue. But they actually sell a U-joint that has two different size caps here. This is a 1310 joint, but it has larger caps like a 1330 on one side. And I'll show you where that comes into play. And where this comes into play, if you just put a 1310 U-joint in here like part stores will try to sell you, you can see it wiggles in the rear end yoke. So the width's right. You get this little bit of wiggle. Well, with the larger caps, you see that joint fits a lot tighter in there, and you don't have that play. So, you keep eating U-joints in a classic Ford, this is probably your cause. You got the wrong size caps on one side and the rear end. So, let's go back to the drive shaft here at hand. This is a Spicer X series joint, which is supposed to be their heavy duty joint. We went to put it back on there and that cap wouldn't seat, and I know that's probably going to be hard to see if I can get this camera to focus. But the needle bearings, I know it's not going to really focus, but they're all laid up in there. So another thing to show you the cap diameter difference, you can see right there, it's not an increasingly large amount. It's like a 1.062 and this is like a 1.125. So that's where it comes into play. Fortunately, my buddy here at the shop had this one laying around, which was a precision joint, new in the box, and it's old obviously, so maybe it's better than the Spicer one. But when I slid that cap off there, you can see right here where that joint's all messed up. You can see it is a Spicer joint. So let's put about the 400 set of U-joints in this thing that it's ever had. So I'm not surprised. The bad thing is this is a uncommon U-joint according to the parts stores. I couldn't get a new one until Monday. I drove this thing here at the shop. You know, yeah. So, like I said, you got one of these cars, keep you a spare one. Might keep it in the car because you're going to be screwed otherwise. So, hopefully you enjoyed your flying trip down onto the ground. So, got that joint knocked out of there. It's just on a wooden table. I had my phone sitting on the vise, so not real stable. But you see up close now. Yeah, it's screwed up. And the other side, you see it's had some thrust heat on that side too. So, yep, let's get this new one in there and get my car back together. And I made it back home. So, let's talk about a few things that have changed since I put that stock torque converter in it. It does not make boost when you brake boost it. It will not spin tires when you brake boost it. So, we went from one extreme to the other. But the big difference was it's dropping like 4,000 RPM on the shifts now, so lets me know that Hayes converter was junk. So at this point, I either need to get a converter or I need to run into some money to buy the TKX swap, which is ideally what I'd like to do. I'd like to put a stick in it just for the fun of it. It takes all the torque converter equation and all the mess out of it. So this was more just an experiment to see if it was the transmission slipping when it was in power or it was in fact the torque converter. And it was in fact the torque converter slipping. So I've got one more trick up my sleeve. And my buddy does have a Transbrake C4 and his nitrous converter stuff out of his pretty hot small block. Then I may actually swap in the car for No Name Nationals. Most because I doubt I'm going to get the money for TKX swap by then. And I've got a dry shaft for the C4 and that parts Torino that I'd bought. So maybe what I do, at least for now. So guys, if you like these kind of videos, make sure you hit that like button, comment down below. Most importantly, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button because it does help the channel grow. And I'll see y'all at the next video. I don't know what it's going to be on, but at least we know now 100% the torque converter was a problem with Torino. So until the next video, guys, I'll see you at the next one. Thanks for watching.